This is IQD and VND, and today's discussion is one of the most talked about subjects in the world of currency watchers. The excitement has reached a new level. And the numbers being shared are so bold that they almost feel unreal. People are repeating figures like 566 for the Iraqi Dinar and for $78 for the Vietnamese Dong. These values are not just being whispered quietly. They are spreading loudly across conversations, fueling imagination, and sparking debates in every corner. Whether someone believes these numbers or not, they capture attention instantly and refuse to be ignored. The talk of 566 per dinar is powerful because of what it represents. For many, it symbolizes wealth beyond imagination, and the kind of sudden transformation that could change lives overnight. Investors who have held onto these currencies for years are suddenly seeing their patience tied to one of the most dramatic scenarios ever discussed. The Vietnamese Dong mentioned at $4.78 adds even more fuel to this fire because it places two separate currencies in the spotlight at the same time. Together, these numbers create a picture of massive change that feels unlike anything seen before. What makes this conversation so magnetic is how it mixes both hope and doubt. Supporters argue that such numbers are destiny unfolding after years of preparation. They see it as the result of reforms, growth, and careful development in both Iraq and Vietnam. On the other hand, skeptics quickly dismiss the figures as speculation. They say no official statement confirms such drastic changes, yet even those who doubt still keep listening. They know that in the world of currency, silence from authorities does not always end speculation, it sometimes makes it louder. Iraq's story is a big part of this growing belief. Over the years, the country has worked to build its banking networks and expand digital payment systems. Supporters of the high-value dinar theory point to oil reserves and wealth as a foundation that could support dramatic changes. They argue that Iraq is not the same as it was a decade ago and that its financial system is becoming stronger by the day. This is why, when people repeat the number 566, they believe there is a reason behind it rather than just a rumor without roots. Vietnam's rise is also used to explain the attention on the Dong. The country has positioned itself as a manufacturing hub. With growing trade connections across the globe, its expanding economy is often described as one of the most promising in Asia. Those who follow this story say that a stronger Dong reflects Vietnam's place in the international market. When combined with Iraq's progress, the two nations together form an image of balance, with both currencies becoming central players instead of being overlooked. This is what makes the discussion feel bigger than before, because it is no longer about one currency but two. The thought of both Iraq and Vietnam experiencing historic reevaluations at the same time sparks endless imagination. People picture a shift in global trade, where alliances are reshaped and influence moves in new directions. Investors imagine themselves holding currency that suddenly carries life-changing value. Families in Iraq and Vietnam picture improved standards of living, stronger purchasing power, and easier access to global goods. This picture feels so dramatic that it continues to spread like wildfire. Even without official confirmation, what gives the story even more energy is how ordinary people connect to it emotionally. For many, holding onto dinar or dong is not just about potential financial gain. It is about hope for something better, about believing in the possibility of change. The numbers 566 and 478 become more than figures. They become symbols of faith, repeated across online conversations, videos, and discussions daily. Even people who do not fully believe still acknowledge the power of these numbers to inspire communities worldwide. Of course, challenges remain clear. Iraq still faces political struggles and ongoing economic hurdles. Vietnam must carefully manage its rapid growth to avoid instability. Global institutions are known for moving cautiously and may not quickly accept sudden shifts in currency values. These factors remind everyone that dramatic reevaluations are not simple to achieve, yet despite these reminders, the dream of such outcomes does not fade. Instead, every delay seems to make supporters believe even more strongly that something big is building behind the scenes. A recent part of the discussion that catches attention is the idea of redemption centers. Many wonder what they are and why they are mentioned alongside the dinar and dong. Redemption centers are described as special facilities set up to handle currency exchanges outside of regular bank branches. They are said to be prepared for larger transactions, private appointments, and in some cases, offering what is called contract rates. This idea adds a new layer of complexity to the discussion, making people ask whether there are options beyond simply walking into a local bank. The phrase contract rate sparks even more curiosity. It is described as a prearranged rate that is higher than what might be available at a normal bank counter. In other words, it is a special deal that not everyone can access. Supporters of this theory suggest that only redemption centers could provide such rates, and that banks would not be allowed to match them. For those following the dinar and dong story, this makes the process sound like more than just a simple exchange. It makes it sound like a structured event with different paths and outcomes depending on where someone goes, for people who have been waiting for years. The mention of redemption centers and contract rates feels like an important puzzle piece. It raises questions about preparation, patience, and timing. If such centers truly exist, then rushing into a normal bank exchange could mean missing out on something better. This is why the discussion encourages caution and awareness rather than quick decisions. The excitement may be strong, but the suggestion is that understanding the process could make a big difference in what someone experiences. Even with all these details, the central fact remains that nothing has been officially confirmed. The Central Bank of Iraq and the State Bank of Vietnam have not released any statements about 566 or 478. This silence, however, does not end the story. Instead, it leaves room for speculation to grow even louder. People begin to fill in the silence with their own hopes, theories, and imagination. The lack of denial is often seen as a form of possibility, which keeps the conversations alive across communities worldwide. It is important to note that speculation often becomes more than just numbers. For many who follow these updates, it becomes a form of unity. Different people from different countries share the same dream of a historic revaluation. They hold on to the same belief that one morning everything might change suddenly. This sense of shared purpose makes the story spread even further because it connects people emotionally, not just financially. The numbers become a reason for people to talk, to imagine, and to hope together. The phrase historic revaluation has been repeated so often that it now feels like a movement. It is not just about what currencies might be worth, but what such a change would mean for entire nations. In Iraq, a stronger dinar could symbolize national pride and recovery. In Vietnam, a stronger dong could highlight the success of years of development and growth for families. It could mean wages with more value and daily costs that feel easier to manage. These are the ideas that keep the fire of belief alive, even when doubts remain. As the debate continues, what stands out most is how deeply people hold onto the possibility of change. Every new number shared reignites the discussion, and every pause only strengthens the belief that the surprise is coming soon. The story does not fade, because it is built on more than speculation. It is built on human desire for transformation, for a better future, and for the chance that something extraordinary could happen without warning. This is why the talk of 566 and 478 is louder today than ever before. In the end, whether these numbers ever become reality or remain only in conversation, the energy they create is undeniable. The story of the dinar and dong has lasted for years, and it shows no signs of slowing down. Believers continue to hold on, skeptics continue to question, and communities continue to dream together. The figures may be bold and historic, but they represent something far deeper, the enduring power of hope. And as long as that hope remains alive, the story will always continue to grow.